Powell remarked. European Union member nations adopted groundbreaking reform of the bloc's migration and asylum system with new regulations designed to process arrivals in an orderly and efficient manner, standardize procedures, and alleviate pressure on frontline countries.
The 10 new laws adopted by a European Council meeting in Brussels include triaging of arrivals at the border.
The Justice Department stated that it is evaluating whether to prosecute aircraft manufacturer Boeing after federal investigators accused the corporation of violating the terms. A group of prominent TikTok users filed a lawsuit against the federal government over a new law that would force the sale of the widely popular video sharing app.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Well, that's
Get a cup of coffee in here, please.
Damn good coffee and hot.
I just like rushing through the buttons. Rushing.
My dog is your my best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
Oh, do I now? Oh, that's good coffee. Strong. Damn good coffee. And hot. Hit that note, sustain. Good morning, people of planet Earth and other planets that might be listening in. It is Thursday, trash day, and I forgot to take out the trash to the street, so my bad. It's Thursday, May 16th, 2024. I just heard the trucks out there, and I just thought, I'm going to get a beating from the wife today. So that's the story. Goodbye. If you don't know, yesterday, Joe Biden made the announcement that he will be master debating Donald Trump June 27th on CNN. And we have a special pay not to view event. Here it is. Pay to not view event, June 27th, 2024. Here's the deal. If you pay me $99.95 right now, I will make sure you don't see anything about the debate or hear anything about the debate in the days and weeks afterwards. It's a great deal if you want to avoid the nonsense of whatever this debate is going to be. $99.95, just send it today. Order now, because space is limited in your availability to miss that entire debate. Today we have a couple of authors. I hope you like books. People who write them. It's all about books. People who write them and people who read them. First author today is going to be somebody who writes magic and fantasy, but also has a historical fiction award under her belt, which is kind of interesting. You don't generally see fantasy magic authors getting into historical fiction, but that's what we're going to go in the first hour. In the second hour, I'm going to talk about mental health with a psychotherapist author who believes that our declining mental health is the greatest threat to America. So that's what we got to look forward to. I just want to say, if you are in anywhere within hundreds of miles of Hanover, Pennsylvania, tonight is the night. You want to go out for some blessings and blasphemy, or blasphemy and blessings, depending on how you like it served, with the Reverend Dr. Reverend Jelly Roll, who does a Sunday morning show here that is very poorly attended. We hope the attendance tonight will be much better. And poor GD has been working his little red face off producing this thing. I had, in my sleep last night, I had a possible solution to GD's red face issue, but I didn't get a chance to work it through with him this morning. So he's probably going to be red-faced when he enters the room today. Again, now, I just want to say that yesterday, when Biden announced the debate on June 27th of this year, the Republican Party all of a sudden were angry about him choosing to start with CNN. And even Trump was like angry about the situation. I just want to remind people what Donald Trump said 6 weeks ago here. You hold me up. It's important for the good of our country that Joe Biden and I debate the issues that are so vital to America and the American people. Therefore, I'm calling for debates anytime, anywhere, any place. The debates can be run by the corrupt DNC or the subsidiary or the Commission on Presidential Debates. I look forward any place, anywhere, anytime, that kind of thing. And then yesterday, as soon as the debates were announced on CNN, that's not good enough. No, there are shills and blah, blah, blah. According to CNN, Trump did accept the invitation. So the debate is on, according to CNN, according to Joe Biden, and maybe according to Trump. But shortly thereafter, Trump tweeted this: "Please let this truth serve to represent that I hereby," as if this is some kind of legal proclamation, or maybe just a full of rubes, that this is a legal proclamation. "I hereby accept debating crooked Joe Biden on Fox News. The date will be Wednesday, October 2nd. The host will be Brett Baer, Martha McCallum. Thank you, DJT. DJT. Well, the problem with that is Fox News doesn't know anything about it and doesn't want any part of it. They've already lost $1 billion backing Donald Trump, and they don't want any part of this. So maybe he should have checked with the network before he went and accepted an offer, an invitation to something that doesn't exist. Am I crazy, or is he crazy, or are you crazy, or are we all crazy? We'll probably figure that out in the second hour today. But I'm going to tell you one way to get out of crazy, and probably address this with our second guest later today, is Mind Bloom. Mind Bloom, yeah, Mind Bloom. You can deal with your depression, anxiety, if you're anxious about this upcoming election, or depressed about where we are right now as a country. You have Mind Bloom to fall back on. You have to talk to a clinical therapist first, but they'll probably just rubber stamp it, and you get your little mask and your pills and trip out.
Mind Bloom is helping people achieve life-changing clinical and personal breakthroughs, alchemizing both the psychedelic medication, psychiatric care from psychiatric clinicians, coaches we call psychedelic guides, and a lot of content and meditations and programs into this really transformational experience that, because it's delivered at home, costs a lot less and is a lot more convenient for people to receive.
You know how they used to have Blue Man Group? Excuse me, Stephen, you're in my spot. And I like it better like this. I don't know why. That's my preferred lineup here. They used to have Blue Man Group in Vegas. We should, GD is going to start Red Man Group. No offense to...
Wasn't that already a band? Wasn't that already...
Blue Man Group? It was like a performance.
Oh, no, Red Man.
Oh, Red Man, yes. Well, no. Something. Yeah, there was. Hey, come and get your love.
Ron, you're muted.
Ron is muted. Good morning, Ron.
There we go.
Morning.
I don't know if it was Red Man Group. It was
No, there's a rapper called Redman.
Redman.
Yep.
And there's Brian Redman, right? Redman.
Brian Redband, yeah.
Oh, we're pointing at a red cup.
And good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Memorial Day is a day off with pay. So spend that pay with us. Come on, it's free money. What else you going to do with it? MindDogTV.com.
All right.
Enjoy the suffering.
Enjoy the suffering. Speaking of suffering, you're gonna get some rest today before your big. I know you're producing the show for the Reverend tonight. Are you worn out? Are you gonna have 100% of your energy tonight?
I'm probably going to take some ketamine for energy.
Ketamine.
Yeah. For energy,
I don't know if it's
good
good for energy. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, just to pick me up. But no, I think if you take one, it relaxes you. If you take two, it gives you energy. I think that's how that works.
But you're supposed to wear that mask so that you don't freak out. Like you don't.
Well, I'm going to wear earplugs. So I don't have to hear it.
All right. Yeah. Last night I had a really interesting program. Fitz Kohler. Have you know Fitz? Fitz is.
Are you sure you don't mean Fizz Cola?
Huh?
You don't mean Fizz Cola? Because I know Fizz Cola.
Fitz.
That's on the
Kohler. Koeeh.
Fizzy colon. Fizzy colon.
Fitz Kohler is a race announcer. Like a running race.
So what's it? It's like there's a white guy, there's a Chinese guy.
Yeah, right. That's pretty much it. She's a fitness coach and television host and radio host, and she got breast cancer and skin cancer like simultaneously. But such a positive attitude, and I mean more energy. She called me a child a couple of times. She said I need to grow up. Stop making excuses. Then she made me stand up and show that I wasn't wearing any pants. Stand up. She said, because I told her nobody ever, fitness, nobody ever tells you how to work on balance. And I wasn't born with great balance, and I still don't have any balance. I'm like very uncoordinated. So
how do you stand on stage with the other guys? Would you just lean while you're playing?
Yeah, that's it. But she had me standing on one leg, and it's almost like doing a sobriety test. It's like stand on one leg, and then I wobble a little bit. Have you tried it? You guys want to stand up? Oh, Steven, stand up. Wow.
Oh wait, I forgot I can't do that. Never mind. That happens sometimes.
But then close you. First of all, I wobbled on one leg immediately, but then she said close your eyes, and it was like I cheated a little bit. I was holding on to stuff like I would. So
I know. I kept grabbing the desk, trying to cover up what you were hiding in your little jammy pants over there.
Steven was spying on me last night. Yeah. So it was an interesting show, though. I mean, incredible energy from this woman who, never got down on herself through two cancers at once. It's, what, good for her. But we're talking about diet and exercise and sleep and all these things that I'm pledging to do, but not going to follow through on. I'm not going to follow through on because I suck at that. But she did tell me to grow up a couple of times and stop being a child. It's 65. Not going to happen. Anyway, you guys got any thoughts on this big debate? Are you psyched for the big debate?
In a way, I am, because I'm sort of a nerd.
I'm ready for the material.
Ready for the material?
Yep.
I don't think. You know what? I think the truth is, I think one of the parties is gonna pull a Sir Robin and chicken out and run away. That's all the preparation. He kind of wasn't expecting to be called on his bluff anytime, any place, anywhere. Blah blah blah.
Well, I just think the big question is: are you going to get the only real question is: are you going to get the debate where are you going to get Adderall Trump, where he's clearly on the Adderall and he's all over the place and he over focuses and he's like, are you going to get the other drugged up version of him where he's like subdued and he's and essentially I think what will happen, the first debate will be a real train wreck. It'll just be Trump just yelling like blah 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 bad, bad. You know, hitting the same beats because that's all he has. He's not, you know. Then everyone will freak out. Everyone will be like, "Oh my god!" It's then things will settle down. Then by the second debate, then I don't know. I think they'll just be tired of the shtick by then.
Immediately, your guy, you know who I'm talking about, your guy, Ron's favorite guy.
RFQ.
Exactly. Him and his legion are up in arms that he's not invited to the debate. We're trying to get him invited. And I think I'm going to assume that you guys are against that or not for that.
I think anyone that's on the ballot should be at a debate, period. The American people should have a choice and hear all the candidates out.
How long would that take if we're going to put everybody?
Cornell
Green, Marion.
I mean those that are on the ballot in all 50 states.
He's
I'm not
on
talking
the
about
Cornell West, not Cornell Green.
Well, most of them. He's on most of them. But I'm saying, I'm not saying Joe Schmo that's getting written in or who's on 2 states should be on there. No, but the people who are on the majority of the states' ballots who have a chance should be on stage.
So by that, do you mean that if you add up all the states, that if you add up all of the electoral college?
I didn't talk about the electoral college.
No, I am. Hear me out. You said on the majority of the states, and if he has a chance. In order for him to have a chance, he has to get 270 votes. So are you saying that if you add up all of the states, all the electoral votes of the states that he's on the ballot, if it equals 270, then he should be on the stage? Or if it's less than 270, fuck it, because he won't have a chance.
If he has a chance, he should be on stage.
So if it's under 270, he won't have a chance.
Correct. I mean, because then he legally can't win the office. So yeah.
Okay, so he doesn't get on then. That's it. I'm just checking.
If the case is he cannot physically win the office, then there's no point.
Well,
okay, then he's out then.
At this point, CNN has him polling at 16% of the popular vote. You know, the polls very unreliable with that.
That's so skewed, though. Who's like?
But I don't think he's on. I don't think, to GD's point, I don't think he is on enough ballots that would equal 270. So at this point,
well, I think if the throaties really come together and pull for RFQ, we might have a chance.
Well, my whole thing is,
it doesn't matter if he's not on a. If he's not on the ballot. Doesn't matter. They can pull all they want. They can pull, they can tug, they can reach around. It's not.
Yeah, I just wanted to say throaties. That's what I call RFQ followers now, are throaties.
Oh, we did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, now we are educated on that. Well, my whole thing is, I can't. Honestly, I hate to shame somebody with not really a disability. It's just a real. It's like, you know what, people
it's okay to shame him because he's a politician. So
yeah, being a Kennedy is not a disability. Being a Kennedy is not a disability.
I can't listen to him for an hour or 90 minutes, whatever the debate's going to be. I couldn't listen to him, and I would want to insist that if he's going to do it, that Shanahan has to come on and answer for him. He could just like.
Well, don't you wonder when he's at home? And like he's gonna have some time by himself. He goes into a room, he shuts a door, then Cheryl walks in. Then from the upstairs, all she hears is like, what is that?
It's Ron asking for dinner. Robert asking for dinner. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Please forgive me.
That's our cute, sexy voice.
Yeah. It's time to meet our first author. Judith Stockton, as I mentioned, is a fantasy magic writer who somehow got lumped in with historical fiction, which is confusing to me. Her latest book,
I'm confused. You say so? She writes about fantasies about Magic Johnson. You said a magic fantasy.
You can ask her that. Her latest book is called "The Lights." Or treason, flights or treason. I can't. It's in the cover.
Flights of treason.
Flights of treason. You know what? The cover is too beautiful that, and in small print like that, my eyes are not working. Anyway, she's here now. Let me just change this layout before we bring her in. Here you go. Get Ron out of there. Good morning, Judith, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Good to see you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I am confused how.
Let me take you out of your misery because I can.
You gonna shoot him? Are you gonna shoot him this early in the
Well,
show?
no. And I will not even try and finish him off with a sorceress curse or anything. But no, I write historical fantasy. A lot of fantasy, people read Tolkien and all that medieval setting. Fortunately, fantasy has expanded beyond, white European guys. And mine is in the ancient Near East in a Hittite kingdom that history really forgot. It got literally buried.
Yeah, history forgot it, and old
Yeah,
people like
everybody
me
forgot it. Trust me, as a trying to market Hittite-based fiction, it was not a smart marketing choice. It was a really smart choice for me to write because it's what I love, and that's where I am. But so my world building is in this 13th century BCE world that is exotic and wonderful, but also had a queen who ruled one of the largest empires. That's her on the cover. And she caught my imagination because here's this woman who, she'd be like Elizabeth I or Cleopatra. Everyone would know her because she ruled for decades and decades. Her big enemy that she came up against was Ramses II. So, the guy who Moses said, let my people go, that guy. So that's where we are in history.
Yul Brynner?
Yeah, that guy. Right, exactly. Right. So the series is a 4-book series, and it's her rise to power. So it's the early period of this, what was a decades-long reign, and how a woman came to be in this extremely patriarchal, very male-dominated world, chief in charge.
Well, let me stop you there. A very male-dominated world. Wasn't Cleopatra
well, Cleopatra is millennia later. She's positively modern compared to this queen.
I am very uneducated about this.
Cleopatra was also in a male-dominated world, but a woman trying to be in power. She didn't succeed to be in power for very long. It's true.
Now, is this
there's that little asp thing to the neck?
Is this historical or I hate to say that or be a skeptic about everything, but ancient history. We lie about our own history that's only 240 years old, and a lot of it is buried in lies and myth and all that kind of stuff. Is this real, or to your knowledge, or is a lot of it like George Washington's chopping down the cherry tree?
Well, we have mythologized, obviously, our own history. And for the Hittites, they also mythologized their own history. Actually, one of the documents that I use, and by documents from this world, I mean clay tablets written in cuneiform, had to be deciphered and then translated and all of that. So accessing the information for this world takes a certain amount of academic expertise. So, okay, not just everybody is going to know about it, which makes writing fiction set in that world a lot of fun, because I can give it to people easy, like fun, entertaining, have your history, while you're enjoying it. The fantasy in this series happened. I didn't actually intend it to be a fantasy series when I very first started. But this woman who was eventually the queen, started out life as a priestess, and she believed a lot of what she did, a lot of what Hittite priestesses did was a magic, what we would call magic. They were rites that they thought was a kind of analogic, like this, like the wind blows away things. So, blow away this impediment to whatever I want to happen. Or like, they thought that curses, that evil sorceress people could cast curses and make someone sick, or make a whole crop fail or whatever that. So I started with that, those sort of premises of magic and the rules and ways that magic functioned in her world. And I just let what she thought could happen. And then it got really fun, and it extended. So you notice on the cover here, she's riding on the back of a griffin. Well, these lion eagle hybrid creatures were all over the artwork of the Hittites,
Right.
and all of several cultures around the ancient Near East. And they're clearly associated with royal power. They're often next to a king or a priest or somebody. So I just brought them in on stage and created an entire mythology for where they live, in their own realm. They're telepathic communicators, so they view us as, talking is so slow, and so writing they just think is ridiculous because they can communicate in just these quick flashes. So but they're also huge. So you'll notice on my cover, she looks like she's about the same size as him. That works beautifully for that gorgeous cover. And cover art is often sort of a idealized,
I gotta blow it up here and look on the screen and look at it really closely, because here we're seeing it. I'm not really seeing the detail that's in there. There's a lot of great detail.
In my fiction, where these creatures are like the size of buildings, and she would be very little. You wouldn't see her on the cover at all if the proportions were accurate.
Right.
But
now, what I have to ask you about, and then GD has a question for you. But she's got red hair and white skin. Northern Africa, we're talking about.
No, we're not. We're talking Anatolia, and she should have olive, slightly darker skin.
Red hair.
Red hair is, she has black hair. That red there is sort of, cover artists create, visual message. Right. And she is in my novels, she's completely black haired. There's a lot of, at a certain point in the process, the cover artist says, and now I'll throw in the magic, and that brightens it, sort of gives it that glow and catches the highlights. And her hair is often
so basically the artist didn't read the book.
Well, no, artists never read the book, but and I could have complained about this or that and had things done, but you don't want to mess with the composition has to work, and as you notice, it has to work on a
absolutely
tiny thumbnail. So
GD, do you remember your question?
I remember 4 of them. Yeah. So actually, now let's go with just this one. The griffins that you have here has an eagle's head. Often they're portrayed as having a lion's head. So I was wondering the significance of yours being an eagle as opposed to a lion's head.
They're often actually the medieval version of this is more eagle-y, with like eagle talons, and they look sort of they're kind of scrawny. Those are not, I didn't want that. The ones in the ancient world, actually the ones like on Crete, that the Palace of Knossos, they're very dainty. They have a very eagle head and a lion body, but they're slender and they sort of look like they're going to a lady's tea. That was not what I wanted. These are massive warrior beasts. Even the women, the female griffins are these are effective weapons if you can get them to do what you want, which you cannot.
So they basically have big Griffith energy. You wanted big Griffith energy and not the little scrawny ones. I got you.
Right,
I understand.
exactly. So I wanted all that nice feline, lion claws. Their claws are like the size of
like a
sword.
bear.
Yeah,
wow.
You don't mess with them. They also think that human beings are quite tasty snacks. So
are they? Are we?
It depends on which ones you get.
Well, that's true. And actually, they actually comment at one point when one of them eats a particularly evil person that was a nasty taste.
I would try to make myself as tasty as possible.
Yeah, I don't think I'm an Oreo cookie or
I'm probably pretty delicious myself.
delicious.
I'm high in fat
You
content.
Probably
are a
not if
tasty
I eat
snack.
that. No.
He's a full meal. He's not a snack.
Yes, sir.
Your audience primarily women or young adults?
They're written for adults. They actually cross over into the YA market a lot. So yeah, that works fine.
I don't know any guys who are really into like fantasy magic type stuff. They're more guys are more into like sci-fi, if magical realms and all that kind of stuff are more apt. I'm being a real sexist.
Yeah, I actually think that a lot of my audience. I mean, you have to design a market for, choose a target for your, and yes, I probably market when I'm making those choices more towards women, but actually when it really boils down to it, I would say probably as much of my audience are men as women when you really get down to it. They work pretty well. They are feminist in leaning because this is a woman who is ruling, and I am interested in the dynamic of a woman navigating in a world where, most women don't succeed in ruling, which is, let's face it, I mean, in the United States, women have and Western Europe, et cetera, women have the rights to equality, but not the reality. And that is actually, it's interesting when you look at Hittite law, which we can because those have been translated, and we know that that women that had the right to divorce and to keep their children, and they had property rights, and the queen kept ruling after her husband died. It wasn't linked only to him, like she didn't have power only as a possession of her husband. Victorian women, no such rights, no such powers. So her world and her rule is actually more parallel to today than, than it would have been for a long stretch of history in between. We kind of think of ourselves as going forward with civil rights or, those kinds of things. And it's just not an accurate perception of history. So to me, she's a really interesting character to write. And incorporating the fantasy elements makes it more fun to read, but it doesn't undercut the historical grounding of it. The people who are really the academic scholars in this field love my fiction. It's like, yes, you've totally made that world. While we're uncovering 6 centimeters of mud brick here for 6 weeks, you are building the whole palace and making it come alive. So it's a balance between the history and the fantasy in my fiction, but I think they support each other pretty well.
All right, allow me to expose my lack of education even further, because you talked about all this stuff we've translated this stuff. Now, or just earlier when I mentioned Cleopatra, you said this is a millennia before that. Now, I'm thinking written language, and in the time of Cleopatra, I think it was still hieroglyphics.
No, she's Roman. We think of Cleopatra as,
yeah, she's not Egyptian,
she's the Roman period. She is she's an Egyptian queen, pharaoh.
Yeah,
but
part of Roman.
Her lineage is Roman.
Mark Antony.
Yeah.
So there was written language during the Hittite.
Oh yeah, this is the language. It turns out to be what we call Hittite. They didn't. They called it Nesite, but it was, there's Mesopotamia, Babylon, Assyria, all of these countries right in that area. Her empire came right up against the Egyptians somewhere in what historians call the Levant. It's contemporary Israel. So these two giant empires, her empire, was all across Anatolia. So modern Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, and then down, and then the Egyptians had come up from the Nile in their power. So
wild. Thank you for. I mean, I'm interested now in this period that we are. You know what? In public school education, and unless you were really in college, if you were really interested in that, you wouldn't be exposed to any of this stuff. Not, I'm making excuse for my own ignorance about it, but I didn't know anything about this before this morning. I just barely know a little bit about it now, but I thank you for at least piquing my interest in it.
Well, you can be forgiven because they didn't actually get these translations. This empire really was forgotten. When I was a grad student, when I was studying all this, we did not study. I mean, I was studying the Greek and Latin side of this world, not the Hittite. And it really is only in the last couple decades that we know anything. And
why is that, do you suppose?
I think it's a number of reasons. This particular empire really got buried, quite literally. We've had to excavate it out. And when the sort of beginnings of modern archaeology, Napoleon went to Egypt and had fun finding things, it was dilettante. But and then the great digs at Babylon and all, there was an exoticism to those worlds that drew these 19th century and early 20th century people. I think because Turkey was the Ottoman Empire, and there was just this prejudice against that. Couldn't be where anything interesting was. We just have these blinders about, we don't like that part of the world, or we think that part of the world is, or this race of people or whatever could not possibly be the source of wonder to us. So they just ignored it. And then gradually people said, well, what are all these rock carvings? And very slowly. And then when they found all these tablets, they didn't even know what language it was. And they actually thought it was a culture that was, a good 1,000 years, but, more modern. And it took forever for them to figure out, oh, wait a minute.
It must have been really rough to go to school with a backpack full of stone tablets.
It wasn't becoming literate in her world. And my main character is literate. She would have been literate as a priestess.
Pretty wild.
It was not easy.
That is so. See, this is how he displays his ignorance. They didn't carry stone tablets around. They carried clay, and then they wrote it, and then once it hardened, it became a stone tablet. They didn't carry the stone.
Thank you. I wasn't going to point out the degree of ignorance here, but JD, thank you very much for.
It's okay. Well, and
we think of them as like, those, that movie where, Moses brings those gigantic things down. They're not like, these tablets are like the size of your palm, because the scribe is there taking the dictation down as fast as he can, kind of thing. Frequently, they're like notepad size. It's
I lost my scribe.
And they even had envelopes. They made envelopes out of clay, and then you'd smack that off, and then you could read your thing, and that way they could seal it and keep it from somebody's eyes. Not that most people knew how to read, so sort of irrelevant.
It was their version of encryption.
Exactly.
Hey. Encryption on tablets, man. We started 5,000 years ago. We're back to it today. Let's go.
That's right. History repeats itself or rhymes.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the Ottoman Empire, but I don't. One part of history that's really lost is the coffee table empire.
I was going to say the recliner empire, but that works too.
Yes. Well.
Yeah.
Well, the recliners were killed for their naga hides, so that's how they got much.
I don't mean to be demeaning at all, but you think we are stereotyping academics as kind of being a little bit stuffy and stuff, but it seems like
they are.
This is their Comic-Con. This is their nerdy escape, the magic. Because when I think of academics, I think of rejecting ideas of magic and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, but they allow it for purposes of entertainment in this way. It's kind of like, am I on? Do you agree with me on any of that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the reality is, when an academic writes about this world, you would not find this entertaining. You have to really want.
What do you do?
I was trying to mute myself. The wrong button.
You have to really want to learn about that world to read their kind of stuff. But but you know, everybody likes to be entertained and relax, and my fiction allows people, I mean, it's primarily written to be a good story, you know, to be fun. The fact that it's in this world, and you know, you got to be somewhere, and why not be somewhere fascinating and exciting and completely different and out of what you know every day. I also find if you're going to talk about things that are hard for people to internalize, if you put it in a long ago world that is remarkably similar in those sort of underlying, you know, human ways to their own, their minds are much more open. And I have nothing to preach. I don't want to, like, you know, make anyone think anything, but I do like to get people to think, you know, and open their mind to this idea of, you know, one of them is women navigating in the world in forms of power, but there's a lot. Flights of Treason actually has a whole lot about parenting. There is a very challenging child to raise who causes, you know, a lot of the danger and problem in this particular novel is about.
Is his name Ron?
Well, no, we won't.
Matt. Is his name Matt?
No, her name is Aranelle. So
okay.
Well, when I have a friend who, like you, has more degrees than I can count. But it's really hard to enjoy any kind of entertainment with him, because he picks everything apart, and everything is just like, you know, analytic, and let's get down to reality, and let's poke holes where this doesn't make sense. So I think what you're saying, if you put it in the distant past, you can probably get around some of that. But that's what I was alluding to with
yeah. And I clearly don't have any problem with, you know, allowing magic into the discourse. So and just having fun with it. So
are you the covers are really works of art. All these covers, I'm looking at all your books now, the Tasha series, they're works of art. Are you self-published, and do you handle all this yourself, or is there a publishing company that is taking care of all this for you?
Well, I am my own publishing company, but I do not do the artwork for my covers. I have an artist, Heather Center, who does those for me, and she's great. There's probably a file somewhere in the FBI for our discussions back and forth, because the way she constructs these covers is, you know, we take a figure, and the first one she offered, I was like, that's too passive. I want a woman who's, you know, like the body projects movement. And then we chop the head off that one, and that arm is not angled right. And I can't do any of this. She'll send me a rough up, and I'll say, well, how about, you know, and I just get a little input, because mostly it's her work. But she actually came up pretty much with I wanted a throne on this one, because this is in a different way than Game of Thrones, the big, you know, throne title that's always out there in people's minds. This is a battle for thrones, multiple ones, in two different, well, more than two realms. But other than that, she was like, hey, I think I finally, you know, I want to play around with griffins this time and a person. So can I do this? And I was like, yeah. And I actually ended up rewriting a scene so that there would be a moment that would work.
Wow, good for you. I mean, you must be a pleasure to work with, because most graphic artists are used to getting their ideas rejected for many reasons, and is not something they hear quite often.
Well, you know, when somebody's good at what they do, it's best to step back and let them do it, you know?
That's a great attitude.
Did you hear that, Matt? Did you hear that? When someone is good and let them do what they do, let GD do it. That's what she said.
Well, yeah, but unfortunately, GD has never been great at really anything. I'm sorry to say.
But that's what he does.
If we find out what he's good at, we will definitely step back and let him do it.
He's good at not being great at stuff. Let him do it.
All right. Yeah. So now, are the books available in audio format?
Not yet. I'm actually working on that. That is the project. I'm in the midst of the launch of this fourth of the series that completes this series, and I really need to get around to. I've been
Yeah,
in this
you know
whole.
what? I hate to, because this is something, I'm like a broken record with this. I'm a broken record with a lot of things, but in today's world, I think, and traditional publishing companies are start with the audiobooks in release form now. Even though the book has been written and all, they will release the audio like 9 months in advance for some reason.
Yeah,
People prefer audiobooks now.
they do.
Uh, as a writer, that's got to feel a little bit like I write these things down because they're meant to be consumed is in written format. So it's got to be a little frustrating, but that is definitely the preferred delivery mechanism for a big part of the book consumption audience. So. And very few people are, or most of the people I've talked to in the last 2 weeks, I should say, are you dragging their feet on the world changing and becoming audio based and not wanting to read. Read it to me, mommy. Read me a story.
I'm all for. I have no objection to it being in audio. It's just expensive and complex, and you know, when you are a writer.
I have a suggestion to make it cheaper.
She wants to read it for you.
No. Oh, no. Because the thing is that most people have an idea of what the voices are like in their own head. So my suggestion is you sell them the book and the text, okay, and then give them the option to buy a recorder, and they can record them reading it, okay, and then they can have the audio book in the voice that they're used to hearing.
Is that one of the things you're great at, that we should?
I'm a marketing genius. Yes.
Yeah.
If people don't want to record their own audiobook, I'm sorry, GD. That
Actually, my wife approached me the other night and she asked if there was if I could figure out a way that she could take a book and read it into a device so that she could hear herself reading the book back. I was like, yeah, it's called your phone. But so yeah, there are some. There's one. I know one person who would like to read their own book into an.
There you go. See it all, and it starts with one person, just like all of the shows I produce. It starts with one person.
It starts with one person. We're a little short on time because we have a lot to cover today. But so the writing process for you, are you a person who gets all the research, all your stuff like that you want to outline and all that kind of stuff and notes everywhere, or do you just start writing? You know the subject matter so well, you can be a pantser and just start with a blank page and start typing away.
The research is, for the most part, done. Like I have been learning about this world for a couple decades. I'm pretty good on that, but the plot for any given book, and I have multiple subplots and they all wind in and out together and 3 points of view. So this is epic fantasy, basically. I mean, it's historical, but the plots have, empires clashing, and the big final battle scene at the end of Flights of Treason has a magical sorcerer level. It has a Bronze Age sword and and spear, and it has a siege warfare with engineering a la Bronze Age. And I mean, there's a lot that goes into balancing all of that. Well, if I had to carry all of that in my head, it would be a very confused book when you got done. It's much better. I lay it out. That doesn't mean that things completely surprise me. Characters, I mean, they're not really alive out there somewhere, but it sure feels like that. I mean, they become so vivid in my imagination, and I interact with them for hours, and they will often just show me that whatever I thought I was going to do for this scene or where the plot was going to take, that is not what's going to happen. And then that outline, that idea gets, altered, and sometimes hugely. I am not the least bit afraid of changing and editing. I think in order to be a real writer and to get books out there that are worth reading, you have to know that words are infinitely changeable. I mean, it's not like building a building. Once you've got that foundation laid, you're sort of stuck on that footprint. Not so with books. Everything can get improved and changed. And
so you've never written yourself into a corner you can't get out of?
Well, sometimes the corner you had to get out of the corner, it means deleting a huge chunk. So, if that's not, okay, you're only stuck if you're not willing to remove text.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people who have admittedly gotten stuck, and I think that is and this is a lesson I've been learning lately is getting out of your own way and being flexible enough to change your direction on this stuff. And it's not part of the human makeup. We tend to get locked into stuff, I think, in those respects. So the characters you mentioned, they're alive in your head and alive in your spirit. When you come to the end of a book, do you have I don't know, some kind of remorse, like sadness that the story's over, that it ended?
Well, this one, because I'm bringing the series to a close, it was a logical place, and I wanted to create a series that somebody could start it and know that, when there is an ending, it's not, like certain authors who have just left their series hanging and didn't get around to the last one. This one is complete. But on the other hand, I might come back someday and do a side shoot. Each of the novels also is written so that you can just pick it up and read there. I mean, it's a series. It's the arc of a life. So they're, reading it from the beginnings book to the fourth one, there's a reason to do that. But it also is the case that she is a character who starts out, magic is a forbidden thing, except for the limited magic that she as a priestess has. And she gradually acquires,
kind of like Bewitched. She's got magic, but she can't really use it.
Well, it's not magic like that's in her nose or something. They're right. She's getting this magic from her goddess. She has a patron goddess who's the goddess of love and war. So that's always a little tricky because you never know when this goddess the goddess might want something and think it's a grand thing for you, but that kind of duality is not always great. So she approaches all of this with caution, but by the end, she's way more magical. I mean, there's a lot more magic. So if somebody is into the full-on fantasy sorcerer battle, then they might just go to Flights of Treason. If you're interested in a character that grows over time into that, then the whole series. So
I don't know if you noticed right there, but my magical powers, I made Ron disappear and reappear, just to show you what I could do.
Yep. Well, there you have it.
Now, in your books, do you use incantations and other incantations based on actual incantations from Hittite lore?
Yes, that the short answer is yes. And they're often not just words and we have them they'll have tablet after tablet of how to do it right. It's true. They're usually days and days worth of stuff that they did. They were not, they were highly repetitive. So to put them in fiction, I'll capture the most compelling piece of it and put it in. They had a lot of props too. So in the first book of the series, Priestess of Ashana, she has to remove this curse that the pollution from this burn curse is it's killed one person, but it could spread, and be cataclysmic. She goes in there, and the tool that she uses to suck up the pollution and get rid of it, sort of like the guys that go out after the oil spills, is a special loaf of bread that's been baked with chickpea paste inside, like hummus, like the dip you eat. That's like I couldn't make that up. I'm sorry, really? They put hummus inside of bread, and then they touch this dead corpse, and then you scoop it up with a silver shovel because silver is the protective metal. These are all things they believed. So I just build the magic, and then you have to burn it and put the ashes in the access it to the underworld in a cave where there's a spring that goes downwards. So these are all things that are great fun. And I just take them straight out.
Sounds like they were experimenting with DMT a little bit, or something like that. Some psychedelics.
I was going to ask, has anybody from Cabot or Sabah, one of the hummus companies, contacted you about the idea of that food? Putting hummus inside of bread, like a Twinkie. It's like a Twinkie, but it's just hummus and bread.
Well, it would be a good snack, portable snack food. But and should you be cursed while you are out on the run with your portable lunch, you can take care of that too. So it's a multi-purpose lunch.
We do have to move on, but I'm just curious, and this probably has nothing to do with your book, but how did they come to an end? How did that empire come to an end?
We don't actually know, but at this point in time, which is about
the Jews.
What was it?
1150.
The Jews. Oh, so go ahead.
1150 BCE. There are all these big, huge Bronze Age centralized empires collapse, and there's a wonderful book by Eric Klein, 1177, the year civilization collapsed. If you want the historically very appealing book, but historically interesting. So there were things with climate change, wars between, like two out of the big kingdoms that weakened each other enough. And then because all the global economy was connected, boom, 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 they started to go down. A lot of migration of people who were displaced. Sound familiar? Like,
this is why I asked, because I feel like it's going to happen again. It's bound to happen.
We don't know what the fatal blow for this particular kingdom was, but we know there was a whole lot of crap flying.
It almost always, if there is a recurring theme in empires falling, it seems to be self-inflicted in some way. And
this was partly because, and it could even just be your neighbor inflicted a wound, and because they were connected economically and trade-wise and all of this,
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I wish you good luck with the book. This is the fourth in the series. It's called Flights of Treason. Was treason an actual word in those days? I thought that was a explicitly modern word for betraying your country.
Well, we're speaking English. They spoke Hittite. Yes, in Hittite, you can
an equivalent
betray your king or your country or your best friend.
Okay. JudithStockton.com is where you'll find out more. Well, good luck with the books, and thank you for being part of the program this morning.
It was great fun. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Actually, I think she and I are of a like mind. I mean, she writes historical fantasy.
She does green screen better than you do.
Well, she writes historical fantasy, and I write hysterical fantasy, in the sense that in my fantasies, I'm funny.
Well, that is a fantasy. You notice I made Steven disappear. I'm just showing off. I'm just showing off my magical abilities here.
All you gotta do is deflate his tires. He'll tip over.
No, he had to run.
He can't run. Stop it.
I know. No, you know what? Last night, I was talking about the guest I had on last night. She had all these exercises because Stephen was in the chat room and she had me standing on 1 foot, and he said, "I can't stand on 2 feet, never much less one." And so the discussion went to him having no use of his legs, and she had hundreds and hundreds of exercises for him to do, and he seemed to be generally excited about that somebody had actually written a book about how somebody in a chair gets in shape and can get well. And so that was a big part of it. So he had some medical reasons. He had a CT scan or something he had to take care of today. So he'll be with us again tomorrow. It's time to get to the news. We'll get the news out of the way and then make some comments about it, and then hopefully yuck it up a little bit before the next guest. The next guest, we're going to talk about mental illness, which is something I think, or mental health, which is not necessarily the same as mental illness, but I think it's something that we can all relate to, and it's stuff, good stuff for conversation. Anyway, right now it's time for the news with Alan Edwards. Al, hit it.
A group of prominent TikTok users filed a lawsuit against the federal government over a new law that would force the sale of the widely popular video sharing app.
The 8 users, who collectively have millions of followers on TikTok, argued that the law signed by President Biden last month violates their First Amendment rights by threatening to shut down a communication medium that has become a prevalent part of American life. Jessica Oakley reporting.
The Justice Department stated that it is evaluating whether to prosecute aircraft manufacturer Boeing after federal investigators accused the corporation of violating the terms of a 2021 deferred prosecution agreement.
Federal prosecutors wrote that Boeing breached its obligations under the Deferred Prosecution Agreement, in part by allegedly failing to design, implement, and enforce a compliance and ethics program to prevent and detect violations of the U.S. fraud laws throughout its operations. Lawrence Keller reported.
European Union member nations adopted groundbreaking reform of the bloc's migration and asylum system with new regulations designed to process arrivals in an orderly and efficient manner, standardize procedures, and alleviate pressure on frontline countries.
The 10 new laws adopted by a European Council meeting in Brussels include triaging of arrivals at the border, enhanced data collection to inform policy and gain control over migration, a standard asylum procedure for quick initial assessments, and a new mandatory border procedure for well-defined cases. Benjamin Wright reporting.
The Federal Reserve Chairman said it may take longer than expected for inflation to be brought under control, as he gave no indication of an imminent interest rate reduction.
We did not anticipate this path to be a smooth one, Fed Chair Jerome Powell remarked at an annual Foreign Bankers Association meeting held in Amsterdam. Powell acknowledged that the United States inflation figures were higher than I believe anybody expected, as he maintained that future steps should involve being patient and allowing restrictive policy to take effect. Liam White reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
All right, get on with it. All right, come on. Don't let that music play too long. Come on.
Dozens of Red Lobster locations across the U.S. are facing closure.
Restaurant liquidator TagX Brands announced this week that it would be auctioning off the equipment of over 50 Red Lobster locations that were recently closed as part of the seafood chain's footprint rationalization. The locations span across more than 20 states. Michael Wallace reporting.
A Maryland woman accused of plotting to carry out attacks on multiple energy substations surrounding Baltimore pleaded guilty to federal conspiracy and firearms charges, court records show.
Sarah Beth Clendaniel of Catonsville was charged last year with conspiring with a Florida-based founder of the neo-Nazi group Atomwaffen to carry out the attacks, in what prosecutors described as a racism-fueled plot to spark mass chaos in the majority-black city. Jim Kender reported.
8 individuals were killed when a bus carrying approximately 53 farm workers was struck by a truck and overturned on West Highway 40 in central Florida, according to state officials.
The truck driver, Brian McLean Howard, was arrested on 8 counts of driving under the influence manslaughter, the Florida Highway Patrol said. 38 people were injured, 8 of whom are in critical condition and 30 who have non-life-threatening injuries, according to Marion County Fire Rescue. Kevin Sanders reporting.
Multiple individuals lost their lives, including a woman who was 9 months pregnant after severe storms swept through the South, according to officials.
3 people were killed in Louisiana, including the pregnant woman and her unborn child, due to severe weather on Monday, officials said. The pregnant woman was killed when a tree fell on her mobile home in Port Allen in West Baton Rouge Parish, the Louisiana Department of Health stated. Paul Gomez reporting.
All right,
and that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
Now, the thing is that the abortion laws are so strict in Louisiana. That storm is going to face charges.
Yeah. Electrical charges?
Probably. I mean, it's just you can't abort a fetus at any point in Louisiana.
Right? Yeah. No. The storm is definitely breaking the law. Baltimore. I know a couple of guys from Baltimore. One who was born in Baltimore and now lives somewhere in Pennsylvania. Another one who's from Baltimore and now lives in Westminster, Pennsylvania. It seems like
that was last year on Valentine's Day. That plot occurred on Valentine's Day.
Seems to be a lot of crazy news, racist, bad people in Baltimore these days. That was where I was.
Yeah, I blame Larry Hogan.
No, why is that? Why Baltimore? I mean,
it's Larry Hogan. It's his fault, and that's why he should not be elected as our senator.
Oh.
It's Larry Hogan's fault.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
How?
Yes.
How?
Exactly.
All right.
If I tell you how he did it, then all the people who want to create chaos.
Oh, he did it intentionally. It was like
yes. Okay. I mean, one of the things he did. Okay, one of the things he did was this is back early in this first term. Was he diverted money from education and put it toward prisons. And if you do not support education, those kids are going to grow up to inhabit those prisons.
That's true.
And so, yes, it's his fault. He took money away from education and diverted it toward prisons, private prisons, not even state-run prisons, but private prisons.
Right. That's where the money is. The money's not in state-run prisons. It's in private prisons. That's where.
Yeah. So I think it was an investment on his part. I think it was an investment on his part that he made money.
Of course. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I think you think. You're absolutely right. But another story out of Baltimore. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I wasn't aware of it until yesterday. The ship. Remember the ship 7 weeks ago?
Yeah, they were trying to blast off the blow apart the part of the crane. Not the crane, the highway that fell on the boat. They were supposed to have done that the other day at 4:00, and they had to reschedule because of storms.
You know, the crew is still stuck in the boat.
Yeah.
7 weeks later, they're still stuck. They can't get out. You can't swim to shore. Can't. I mean, it's confusing to me. Like, why? I would be going crazy. I would be killing people if I was stuck.
Well, they're witnesses. They're not allowed to leave. They're witnesses to a crime. They have to stay there because you did read the conspiracy chart, right? You saw the conspiracy notes, right? You saw what they. They can't leave. If they leave, they will escape and go back to their countries after they plotted this thing. They got to stay there. They're
their countries. They're not Americans.
Oh, who knows? I get to read the conspiracy, but basically that barge is now like a mini Guantanamo Bay, and they're all prisoners there. They can't leave.
Well, you know, Frank King, the suicide comedian. It's kind of a weird thing to call yourself, but Frank King was when the pandemic started. He was on a cruise ship. Off of Korea, I think, or South Japan, or where, but he jumped ship and swam to land because they weren't letting people off the boat. He jumped ship from the cruise ship he was entertaining on, swam to land, and somehow made it back to the Pacific Northwest. So it's possible just to escape like that, and nobody can track you down.
Yeah, but you don't want to jump in those waters. We have crabs.
No, Baltimore.
Yeah,
harbor.
Yeah,
what?
Bay Harbor, the Bar Harbor, the
harbor.
The harbor, because we have crabs. You don't want to get in that water.
Now, did Ron's tongue get lost in that water? Do we know?
Well, he was drinking it.
I don't know. I'm still trying to wake up.
What did you have a late night last night? Did you just
just
wild sex with the wife.
It's just that her. It's great that she wrote a book and stuff, but I was like, yeah, okay.
See, I thought you were out celebrating the fact that your fan came, your thermostat came in, not thermostat.
So you're saying the Hittites put you to sleep, put you back to?
It just wasn't very exciting to me.
You're not Hittites is not your thing.
Nah.
I never said it Hittites before. I always say hit titties.
And if she had said it that way, if she had said it that way, Ron would have been like, "I'm all into the titties."
Yeah, I would have woke him up, and that would have woke me up too.
I just felt that there's like no momentum at all. It was just like, all right, here we are.
yeah. You know what? Not everything is for everybody. I get it.
Yeah.
Imagine me and having to go everywhere with whoever.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the work that someone puts into like a book like that, but you know, if I can't get interested in it, I can't get interested in it.
And that's kind of the mystique about how you get into that stuff. I mean, I could appreciate being a history major and being fascinated by like some of the empires and stuff, but to get into it at that level, it takes a whole different kind of personality than I have, and I'm curious about how you fall in love that deeply with stuff that went on 4,000 years ago or whatever.
Well, part of it could be, if you get to be, let's say, like the expert in something that no one else around you is the expert at, you become like pretty special. It's like being a black Republican.
I think that is what you just hit on is the reason we have conspiracy theories, because they want to feel like that without actually having to do the work. I can just imagine that I know things that people don't know. Like I'm an expert in flat Earth. I'm an expert in fake moon landings, all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's almost like a hobby, though, too. I mean, I guess I remember my cousins. They had like their dad's dad. He was a really big conspiracy theorist, and this is like back in the day before the internet. And he said that the Swiss were going to take everything over. It was the Swiss, and
it was their army knives. It was their army knives.
And he was collecting guns and all sorts of stuff. And he lived in Westminster.
Wow.
So next door, right over there.
Makes sense. An old white guy in Westminster, Maryland, out in the country with a bunch of guns and thinking the Swiss are going to take everything from him.
Wow.
He lives right next door. As a matter of fact, when we were driving up our road with our moving van, he stopped me to see if I was Swiss, and I had to show him I wasn't Swiss.
He was so paranoid by the IRS. He didn't have anything in his name. He didn't own anything. It was bizarre.
Wow. I gotta share this. This is an email I was just looking at while we were speaking. Let me see. It's share screen. This is just bizarre, man. Entire screen. Here you go. We can do this. This is an email I just got. Erect Prime trademark. I'm not hitting that play button.
Yeah, you are.
Did you know that a common sex position destroys erections immediately? Studies have shown that 63% of men who have sex in this position lose their erection after the first minutes. Find out.
That's because they come too soon.
Look at those little stick figures.
Well, yeah, I mean, the one there on the left, you got to at least give the reach around. That's why he's losing the hard one. I mean.
I was shocked to discover that I've also been using this position. I've been doing it incorrect my whole life. I thought doggy style meant do it on the dog. Poor dog.
Now, here's the funny thing. It's obvious that one of those figures is black, but he has no ass. You have a black person without an ass.
There were no white people. There was a brown guy and a black chick. Or maybe it was a brown chick.
Hispanic.
So you're not going to take them as a sponsor then?
I'll look into it.
I tried hitting play, but it wouldn't work for me.
Right. So yeah. A little political news here. I want because Mike Johnson. You're familiar with Mike Johnson, yes?
Yeah. I've seen your Johnson many times. I'm familiar with your Johnson.
Yeah, he's great at sharing adult sites. So if you need some good ones, go see Mike Johnson.
Yeah, but he loses his erection pretty quickly, like he did yesterday when talking to the Black and Blue caucus or whatever. Back to blue, not
unless a
Project Blue.
family member is watching it while he.
I don't know. Does that make it worse, or does that turn them on? That gets them juiced and going.
Probably.
Yeah, because it's a religious thing. He can go, "Can I get a witness?" And that's what it is.
You know,
we're watching.
I'd rather stay on where you guys are going with this because it's probably more interesting than what I was going to talk about anyway. I like where you're going with this. I forgot, Mike Johnson. Yeah, that's kind of like old news, but it's still interesting that him and his son would there.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
But he was giving this thing about a little talk about Republican policies for what is essentially defunding grants to police departments, which they use to hire police. And a reporter asked him, how is that any different from the defund the police stuff that the other side was talking about? And he said, I really haven't looked into all the details yet. Like the people who want to defund the police the most, and want to take away not just the federal funding for the FBI and our federal agencies, but they want to defund money that the federal government give to local police departments. Are screaming about defund the police, and then they're the ones pushing defund the police. When asked about it, I really haven't looked into all the details yet, how it's supposed to work. It's just a hypocrisy and the up is down reality of politics now. It's just so insane. Laura Ingraham was talking about how presidential and calming Donald Trump is, and it should be in those debates.
In what regards? She means when he's like
talking
sleeping?
about for the debates. Trump should just be quiet and let Biden become the lunatic that we all know and rant like conspiracy theories. And it's like, up is down. Like, you're turning every bizarro world. You're turning everything backwards here. This is not the reality I live in.
It's funny because like I said, this was back when Karl Rove was like the guy. There was a guy that worked with Karl Rove. He was being interviewed on the news, and he had said something that was not right, not true at all. It was like not even close to true. And the reporter called him on it, and he says, "No, we create the reality."
That's almost like Kelly Conway.
Yes, alternative facts.
Yeah, alternative facts. Now, this is probably a big part of the discussion we're about to have. And Phyllis, forgive me if I mispronounce your name. I'm not sure if it's Leave It or Levitt, but she is a.
Well, they say Phyllis, leave it or Levitt. That's how they say it.
Love it or leave it, Levitt.
Hey, I see that Michael is commenting the babbling old man that he is. I know Trump is a babbling old man.
Yeah. He's talking about Trump.
Thanks for confirming, Michael. We appreciate that.
Let me just
or Matt. He could be talking about Matt also.
My name is Michael Shivola, and I'm proudly supporting President Joe Biden for re-election over that no-good, lying, dirty pervert, thieving scumbag Donald Trump. I drank the Kool-Aid once, but never again. Vote for Biden and send Trump to prison.
Thank you. Well, thanks, Mike, for that little input there. Coming back to where we were about to go, talking about mental health. And our guest is a psychotherapist, author, and speaker who believes that our declining mental health is the greatest crisis America is facing right now. But she's not in her chair. You know what the greatest crisis
She's playing musical chairs right now. As soon as the song stops, she'll sit down and then...
There she is. Let's welcome her in, Phyllis Levitt. Is it Levitt or Leave It? Do you hear us? Do you not even see us?
I don't think she hears us.
Hello? Or do you have a different tab open, maybe? Do you see us? You hear? Interesting.
Let's see if she sees us. Hi, do you see us?
Come on, Ron, do stuff. We got to do stuff. No? Hello, Phyllis? Hello,
we can't
Phyllis.
hear you. We can't. Well, she's not talking, so obviously we can't hear her.
No, we can't hear her.
Do you hear us?
She's just looking at the screen like, we can't hear what's going on. Maybe I should write to her and tell her, wait, Is
if
she
you
in the
send her a
private chat or
letter,
is that
by the
you?
time it gets there, it'll be,
I
the
can't
show
hear
be over.
anything yet. Somebody write to her.
Okay, I'll send her. What do you mean to say?
Say, check your instructions again about.
She says I can't hear anything. She sent us a note. Let me say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say try speaking. See if we hear you.
Let me see if I could. This is interesting. Can I? There's no way I can send it to. Instructions for guests here. Copy link. I'm going to send it this in the chat. Try.
Well, I just sent her a note to say try speaking.
Yes, yeah.
See.
No. She sees that. We'll bring her back in a moment. I was kind of silly. I don't know what was going on there. Haven't seen that before. We've had technical difficulties before, but that's the first time we've ever had somebody just looking at the screen. My next guest. Anyway, so yeah, we'll talk about now mental health. The greatest mental health decline in America, the greatest crisis we face. This is the premise we're about to talk about. You guys, are you on board with that? Or you think there are other more pressing issues than mental? I do think we are in. We were just hinting at is that the alternate realities. You need to use some slimmed down version of me for the AI clone. Well, send me a picture, man. Send me a picture that you want me to make say dirty things.
Why? Because it's just like Trump. Doesn't he weigh like 150 pounds or something like that?
6'3" and 215 pounds, according to Ronnie Jackson.
Yeah, we're all sure that. Speaking of mental illness, right there is the perfect example. A man.
I like the way he talks when he tries to be sincere. When he goes, and I care very much about insanity.
Yeah. I just feel bad.
Can you hear us yet? No. Well, this isn't going to work out too well with her this morning. I feel like this is not going to happen.
Well, this is part of the mental collapse here. I see now. I'm wondering if the mental collapse isn't like on a decline, at least as far as because I'm thinking like, getting the lead out of the water supply, that affects like maybe 20 years from now because those children haven't grown up yet, and the ones that were drinking the lead water, it's too late for them. But the kids that would get the lead-free water, and maybe stop playing with the lead Chinese toys. We're getting the lead out of the sex toys.
Get the lead out.
Yeah. So we'll get the heavy metals out of the things that we put in our bodies. That will help. And then getting the plastics out of that stuff.
I don't know how we ever going to move past this because it's like there are two levels of Trumpism. There is the professional Trumper who is in the Republican Party who feels like, and they can't grasp this idea that they are in bondage right now. They are in servitude. And Cohen, in his testimony, laid out perfectly the way Trump works. He gets something on everybody, expects them to work for nothing. And this is why people like Rudy Giuliani are okay with him never paying their bills, because I'm going to let you use my name to get in some, crooked business or some money-making scheme. Use my name for that. Then I use that and hold it over you forever, and you are forever indentured to me. And that's what he does to the professional level Republicans that have, Trump, do anything for Trump. They show up at court wearing a Trump suit. And then you have the rank and file who watch Fox News, who buy everything they say, even though they've admitted to lying in their own emails, they think their audience is stupid and will buy anything, and they prove it right every fucking night. I don't know how you're ever going to get past that as long as you have the professional levels feeding the delusion of the Mike Chiavolas who watch Fox News and say, yeah, give me more bullshit, give me more bullshit, give me more bullshit.
I don't understand how, just for example, Steve Bannon. he took money that he said he was going to use to build a wall, and he just cheated people. And he's still a commodity among those people that he ripped off.
He's going to jail soon, but he lost his appeal. Right, so he's going to be going to prison soon for contempt of Congress, but he's still doing his podcast every day. Like, how long does it take once you lose your appeal? I think they wanted him to surrender, but he's refusing to surrender. So they're going to have to go get him.
Yeah, he wants that TV, that video moment.
Well, my favorite thing about
hold on. Okay, say.
I was just going to say my favorite thing about Trump is that he's a rhino, Republican in name only, because he's against personal freedom. He's definitely not conservative if you're like a true conservative. So it's amazing that a Republican in name only can get this far. But I mean, that's I get it. A lot of white people are upset. They don't understand that things are changing. So I get that.
But you notice how he complains about rhinos. He said,
rhinos. Let's just try Phyllis one more time before she leaves. Phyllis, can you hear us now? She could hear us, but she said she could. It looks like you're going on now. We're gonna have to try to reschedule. I'm sorry. So yeah, we can continue on with this. I'll let her know in the chat room. You guys talk for a minute while I let her know.
Yeah.
So you got a show tomorrow night, Ron? Where are you tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night I'm at a winery called I guess it's a French name, Bala Couché, however you say it.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
Yeah, that's close enough.
Get you ya da.
Yeah. That's where I'll be tomorrow night. That show starts at 7:30. I'm just doing a spot on that show.
You guys were talking about Trump being a rhino. I want to see if I can find something here that I want to share with you guys, because I don't know if you know Cernovich, Mike Cernovich. Are you familiar with him?
No.
He's a pundit on the right. I mean, he called basically. Here it is. Here, let me share this with you. Present screen there. Window. No, don't have. Here it is. Cernovich. Trump is doing a CNN debate carrying water for Speaker Johnson, endorsing traitorous Republicans in primary, FBI building supporter, better than Biden. Yes, obviously, but a lot of you are as high as weed heads if you are expecting a revenge tour, calling him a deep state, basically insinuating that Trump is just a rhino. And for people who really don't understand this, basically they want revenge. They really want a revenge tour, like they feel like there's been an injustice done to Republicans, real Republicans, and this is why they are why people like Cernovich are so far behind Trump. It's not that they think he's a real Republican. They do, like Ron said, they think he's a rhino. I think he has absolutely no principles whatsoever other than what's in it for me. That's his bottom line.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's it's very obvious, but like you should always be. I don't understand. You should always be weary of people that are always just like they only have one beat. It's like they're always against me. It's like, yeah, it's not everybody. You got to be doing something wrong. It's it's like a few years ago when a lot of that faction was talking about kids and protect the kids. Like when you just have guys like that keep talking about kids, normally they're the ones fucking the kids. Yeah. They're trying to cover up. They're trying to cover up themselves. And that's not just an opinion. That's history. Go back and look and see. Like when
It's
Congress. It could go for anything. It could be banging kids to the guys that say that like, especially when a guy comes out and says he loves his family, this and that all the time. It's like, what are you're hiding something. You're definitely hiding something.
Yeah. Projection is the number one tool, but the fact that the way these people operate now, they get a set of talking points and they go out and just repeat the same bullshit, obviously clear bullshit. And here's my biggest thing that confuses me. I have a friend who has gone to prison, spent years in prison for cocaine dealing. He is very well acquainted with the ins and outs of bullshit, can tell a bullshit story as well as anybody, and can spot bullshit a mile away, but can't tell it from Trump. Honestly believes in everything he said. He went on Facebook one day and said, people don't talk about all the good Trump does. Did you see that he bought $3,000 worth of hamburgers at a local place in he was doing when the cop died. First of all, politicizing a cop's death to make it a campaign stop. But he was like, the media isn't talking about Trump buying all his hamburgers for all the cops. And basically, he didn't. And the bullshit is that he didn't buy anything for anybody. He bought for himself and left with it. Didn't give anything to anybody, and stiffed the All-American Burger for the bill on that stuff. And that kind of stage stuff that Jason Miller does for him all the time. That's the kind of bullshit that this is the guy who raffled off a house that wasn't his. And he can't spot that kind of bullshit. This is the guy who calls out every reality show for its fakeness. Can't spot it in The Apprentice, and it's just baffling to me how willing they are to just forget about the bullshit and just pray to this guy who is like disgustingly crooked, cheating them, hurting them, but still got their tongue so far up his ass that they pray to his fucking orange ass. It's unbelievable how smart or savvy people can be taken in by such a fucking con man.
It's too now. Like my team. It's just because it's like my team is better than your team, but it's really not, because it's like when you talk about like Trump's connections to Epstein and his pictures with them. The first thing someone will say is like, well, Bill Clinton was the one that was playing still. Yeah, he was. And that doesn't make it any better. That just means that he's a piece of shit as well. And they'll say, oh, Bill Gates was on that. Guess what? He's a piece of shit too. And Trump's a piece of shit. So they're all pieces of shit together. What are you defending? That they went to this island?
They're saying that their shit smells better than our shit.
Yeah, and you're telling me as a rational person, if you're seeing anybody, no matter who it was with Epstein, if there's pictures and there's videos and they're sitting there canoodling with each other and talking, you're telling me as a human being, you don't sit back and go, oh, there's nothing happening. He's just a nice man. Go fuck yourself with that logic.
It's bizarre, because some of these people believe Trump never met Stormy Daniels because he said, I never even met her. There's tons of pictures of him with her. I mean, pictures of him with Melania and her. I mean, it's well documented that he at least knew her. They won't even buy into that. Oh, no, it's all made up. It's all like, come on, man. How fucking stupid do you have to fucking be? And people like Hannity and Laura Ingraham and all these Jesse Waters and all these people who just tell the same lies every day, knowing they're telling lies to people and writing in emails that have been exposed and they got sued for, saying we know our audience is stupid enough to believe anything we say. Just keep pushing the lies to these idiots. They'll buy it. And then the idiots say, I still got to watch Fox News, man. I love getting fucked over by people, and people treat me
it's because desperation and fear are great motivators. I mean, when your party has no policies, it's just desperation and fear. It's like the same people that like this whole bit that we do with guns and the Second Amendment. Like that's a whole bit that just repeats. Like when a Democrat's in office, gun sales go up through the roof, blah blah blah. Then when a conservative is in office, it actually goes the other way. So it's a work, and people are just like, eh. And we keep repeating the same bits. It's just frustrating.
Right. Now, coming back to that the trial that's going on right now, Trump had swore he was going to testify, and then makes excuses. I'm under a gag order, and I can't even testify. No, and people are actually believing that. By the way, I mean blatant lies like that. Like I can't testify because I'm under a gag order. You're not under a gag order from testifying under oath. You're under a gag order for threatening the judge or his daughter or people like that.
Actually, he can still threaten the judge. He can still threaten, well, not threaten, but he can still talk about the judge and about the prosecutor. It's not, but it's their families are off limits. The jury's off limits. The court personnel is off limits. Witnesses are off limits.
Right. So where I'm going here, he's clearly chickening out of his commitment to testify. I can't wait to testify. I can't wait to take the stand. He's not going to do it. So the conjecture is with the debates, he challenged Biden to a debate anywhere, anytime, any place, and immediately as Biden accepted the CNN offer, they started making excuses like, "Oh, that's a biased place. They're going to hand them a question." They're setting up the next chicken out. Oh yeah, I'll debate him anytime, any place, anywhere, any place, blah blah blah. Any moderators,
except for on June 27th and September 10th. How about October 2nd at Fox though?
Right. So the under over. I'm just asking you guys. Do you think he's going to chicken out of the debates?
No, I think he's got to do it because there needs to be some debates. And like I said, I think the first one will be a shit show. It'll just be him doing his same bits. And, I hope he gets called out on it. Like he'll just say, are you still doing these same bits? I mean, when a man has to keep telling you how strong and confident he is, he's a very weak man and he's got no spine at all. So I don't, who knows?
There was a song. I can't remember the guy who sang. Was it "When a Man Loves Conspiracy"?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Percy Sledge, and Michael Bolton.
Percy Faith and Michael Baldwin.
See, Mike says he has to do it or it will hurt him. He has to testify or it will hurt him too. But he's not gonna. That's my point. If he can chicken out of testifying when he told every one of his followers that he was so looking forward to taking the stand and stating his case and saying what he was, and now comes down to it, okay, take the stand. You know what?
And there's more at stake. There's more at stake for him to take the stand than there is for him to avoid the debate. Because even if Trump, let's say, wins the presidency, the case in New York is a state case. Trump cannot make that go away. So he has to win that case, or at least get the jury to be hung. The only way to do that is for him to actually speak.
I don't care how big their junk is.
Well, especially like with Trump being a rhino. I just read something yesterday that like Nikki Haley is still getting like zombie votes, and like a good percentage of zombie
20% or more.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe because she's somewhat more of a Republican than Slump is, but who knows?
Well, what's his name? Tuberville? What is it? The coach who's
yes, Tuberville. The former Alabama coach.
He came out and urged Trump to pick Nikki Haley as a VP candidate. Like, wait a minute, that's not going to happen. And he said, you can hate her, but you can't hate her voters. And clearly she has 18% at least of the Republican base. The real Republicans, not the rhinos, she has them. So he's saying Trump's going to pick him. Now, this is Tuberville is a real Republican. I don't think anybody would accuse him of being a rhino. He's a
well,
Trump.
He's not, but he's not pro-military though. He's not for the military, and that's
not when it comes to Ukraine, but
or allowing promotions.
Right.
He's willing to let the military suffer.
Right. Well, that doesn't mean he's not pro-military. He's for spending on the Pentagon, more bombs, more money to generals, more money to the Pentagon, just not
for
more money
defense
to troops.
contractors. He loves defense contractors because in most of those red states, that's the only way they get money. I mean, what red state, a Republican red state, is prospering? We'll wait.
Ooh, I know that one. No,
GD for 100.
Alex, may I say, what is none of them?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily buy the whole red state, blue state thing.
What do you mean?
Because New York, most people would call New York a blue state, right? Right.
I call it purple.
Yeah, we've had Republican governors. We have so many. We have a very big population of Trump Republicans everywhere except, and even to some degree in New York City, in Manhattan, maybe in Buffalo too. But for the most part, there's a lot of. So
but here's like a good example. West Virginia. Most of the state is unemployed and on welfare, and yet it is a Republican state. And those people will vote against themselves all the time, against their own self-interest, because the conservatives, they don't like. You can't have welfare. You have to, you got to support your defense contractors so we can build stuff and it can sit. So,
they're for welfare. It has to be corporate welfare.
Yeah. So it's amazing to me. A state as poor as West Virginia, which has always been poor, and to see like Republicans go there and like, we need to bring coal back. It's like, bro, nobody is bringing coal back. It's automated. The people that did work in the coal mines, most of those people have family members that did at one point. No one wants to go fucking work back in the coal mines. Why would you?
No, because I like cancer. I'm a big fan of lung cancer. Big fan of it. I mean, coal? Yeah, let's pollute. A big part of the electric grid is fueled by coal production too at this point, and so I don't know. I don't know why what the reluctance is to move forward and progress in the world. Why don't we go back to wood? Wood was a good fuel. I know. But if you're looking at keeping things old school, we had a guest on who writes about the Bronze Age. Why don't we go back to the Bronze Age?
Nuclear energy is very efficient, but the issue with nuclear energy, it makes terrible waste.
Right.
And
speaking of terrible waste and Bronze Age, let's go back to Trump. No, I'm just teasing.
But there are
bronzer.
There are nuclear reactors out there that they're called breeder reactors, and they can recycle the waste. But the issue with them is the waste turns into weapons grade plutonium.
Well, see, but there's a market for that.
Yeah.
Capitalism, baby. But we have a nuclear reactor. I have one less than half a mile from this house that has never been started. And we took millions and millions of dollars to build the thing. And we're not using it because of the concerns of its, the 3 Mile Island thing scared the shit out of people, and Chernobyl scared the shit out of people. So this is not the only one around the country that's not being used. But energy independence and moving forward, at some point we have to get off caveman technology.
Now, pound in terms of cubic tons, how much nuclear waste do we have? Does anybody know?
You probably don't want to know.
I'm just curious because if we had started, let's say, sending up a couple tons a month and just shooting it toward the sun, let the sun get rid of it.
Here is an interesting fact for anyone out there. there's nuclear waste stored in a facility in it's outside Las Vegas, and it's in the
yes.
and they take it there and they put it how many miles underground. And so if you go outside Las Vegas, there's a huge toxic waste dump around there.
Yeah.
Now, how toxic is it, Johnny? No. So
it is so toxic.
I'm just curious because isn't that area prone to like earthquakes? Or not prone to it, but they're not too far from fault lines. Can there be like an earthquake and there be like a split and then that shit?
There can be an earthquake anywhere at any moment. Like, right here, right now.
Yeah. And there's also a facility in Vegas that our government runs that stores all sorts of like data and pictures that people send on their phones and shit. So it's like the largest. Yeah, it's like the largest collection of dick pics in the United States is in that building.
I just want to, because you said send it towards the sun. You're familiar with Brett Weinstein,
no.
Dark Horse podcast. Brett Weinstein is a academic. His brother is Eric Weinstein. They both think that they self-proclaimed the two smartest people in the world. They're educated, but that doesn't mean smart.
First of all, I know Reed Richards is the smartest man on the planet. Everybody knows that. Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, Marvel Universe. He's the smartest man on the planet. Everybody knows that.
I didn't know that, so I'm not the smartest man on the planet. He was talking about the solar flare. He put out this fucking tweet about the solar flare. If it had been in the direction of Earth, all the catastrophe it would have caused to the human race. And we need to do something about this immediately. Like, this needs to be our number one priority.
Yeah.
And like, what are you going to do? You want to go up and fix it? You want to go up and fix the sun? You want to go direct the solar flare? Like, in the reality of the world, there's absolutely nothing we can do.
Flex Seal. When you need to plug a solar flare, Flex Seal.
Hey, I do have entertainment news.
Oh, you're not enthralled about what we're going to do about the solar flares? We can get to entertainment.
No, I mean we're so dumb. I mean we got to get through just this next election. So let's see if we can even handle that.
That is getting through the next election. This is what I think because I'm not a Biden guy. I'm not a big Biden guy. I know GD loves Biden. He would follow Biden anywhere. I feel like the best support for Biden I could say is we really need to kick the can down the road. Hopefully get through 4 more years of Biden, and then maybe. Because the idea, and we will get to entertainment news, but I think Trump is a fucking problem, even for the people who love him. They hate all the shit that we're going through right now. They hate the fact that we're so divided and all this stuff. They can't see that this is the guy that once you lose Trump, you can get back to your Republican Party. You can get back to winning, because he hasn't won legitimately anything. And lost everything for you. He put you. I mean, why not? Why are we holding on to him? So my point is the best.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Best solution is to elect Biden, kick the ball down the road 4 years, and then hopefully get back to like some sense of.
Well, according to the Republicans, Biden's not going to last 4 years. So who is it? Ann Coulter said he's got like 2 years left in him. So then we'll have President Kamala Harris.
Ann Coulter, the one who I wouldn't vote for you because you're Indian, and by the way, I wouldn't vote for you since you're a Redskin. But no, we don't. I don't know. Biden might not last 4 years, but Trump might not last 4 years either. RFK Jr. might not last 4 years. What are you talking about? Anybody? I might not last 4 years.
Like I said, I always laugh when you hear like these pundits and these conservatives like, Biden is too old. It's like, you guys voted for Reagan, and that guy had Alzheimer's for the last 5 years of his presidency, and you're telling me Joe can't do it. You guys essentially had a meat puppet sitting there who didn't even know where the fuck he was.
Right. It's always, the hypocrisy of it. And I was one of the guys supporting get Clinton for 8 years because he was a crook. His past crimes before as governor of Arkansas and the Whitewater stuff were relevant and worse prosecution. Those same people were saying who were on my side during that era. Yeah, fucking, if he's a criminal, I don't care if he's a president, he should be prosecuted. Those same people, we can't have a president being prosecuted and all these we need to restore the trust of the American people. The way to restore trust is to fucking prosecute criminals.
Yeah, but I would consider voting for Trump if at the next debate, like he had Ronald Reagan's what's left of his corpse, his bones, and he pulls up his head. It's like Ronald Reagan, and starts doing bits like that. That would make me want to vote for him at that point. It's like, all right, this guy's funny. He's rolling out the bits. It's like, hey, Joe Biden, you remember me?
And with that,
and now, bringing you the latest in entertainment news from Hollywood, New York, and East Bumfuck, Montana. Here's our chief entertainment correspondent, Ron Kane. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showbiz.
Showbiz. There's nothing other than Tom Brady still whining.
Now, I got some different news. This is going to be it'll be good. It'll be
is it
stand-up focus. It'll be stand-up focus.
Is it Drake then?
No. So this first story is from Fox News, which this headline made me laugh. Comedian Sebastian Maniscalco refuses to edit jokes for those who get bent out of shape, which is funny to me because he's not really a dirty or dark comedian.
Or political in any way.
Yeah, and so, he's in the article he's talking about, when he
got offended by his stuff, because the Italians, he puts down the Italian culture, but he is Italian, and all his big portion of his fan base are Italians. So who's really offended? And he's not like an offensive guy.
No, and he said he grew up in a world where people made fun of everything when he was growing up. So
I would agree with that. People made fun of everything.
Yeah, but you can still make fun of everything. No one is stopping you. No one is stopping you. And this actually, I have another story that piggybacks on this because I've been saying this for a while, and I completely agree with Bill Burr. And he says cancel culture is dead. No one cares anymore. And that is from
someone cares, and that is the comedians who can't work or feel like and it can't work, and not because they've been canceled, because they don't know how to promote themselves, or they're just not really good and find themselves like what's his name, the Goat Boy. The Goat Boy from SNL. I can't remember Jim Bauer.
No, Jim Brewer. Yeah,
Brewer. He sucks. Rob Schneider sucks. Those people care about cancel culture because they suck. So
yeah, I would argue. Yeah, it's like Rob Schneider and Jim Brewer. They kind of remind me of guys that they can't handle change and realize things are a little different, and like with Jim, like Jim Brewer was never really like cutting edge either. I mean, he's more of like a
animal sounds.
Yeah, like a rock based comedian, because he opened up for Metallica for the longest time, and so like. And his comedy is almost like a dad. It's like, I don't understand. Like, get off my lawn type stuff.
Right, yeah.
I don't understand this. But like Bill Burr pointed out, because he was on Bill Maher's podcast, and they were talking about cancel culture, and he's like, well, like Louis C.K. is still working, and so how is he really canceled? He's made a movie. He's still working. He might have lost his TV deal. But you're dealing with a corporate entity, And so what do you expect? They have an HR department. It makes sense.
When I bring up Louis C.K., the only thing is, well, he did lose TV deals and all that kind of stuff. I think the bottom line is, in hindsight, the scandal was good for his career. He's making more money now. It forced him to become an independent publisher of his own work. But
well, look
now,
at it. But look at it this way. He lost that deal because he worked for Hulu. Right. And so if you just look at it from an HR perspective, if we worked for a real company and I came in and I showed you my dick, Matt, HR would probably have a problem with that and they would probably fire me.
Unless you're Steven
Matt,
Crowder.
but Ron, you are HR. Why would you fire yourself?
Yeah. True. Unless you're Steven Crowder's company, which putting your dick in somebody's face is actually part of the company culture.
Part of the cum.
Yeah,
but I wanted to put that story because I definitely feel like cancel culture has been dead now for a while, and right. even at its height, I didn't even think it was that bad.
Dead in the sense that it never really was a thing to begin with, but I think there are still a ton of comedians who will use it as an excuse or complain about it. I see it all the time,
and there are clubs out there that are ran poorly. And will say, well, we won't hire this comic because they're this and that or whatever. That's on them. That's just poor management to say we're going to try and as long as you don't have someone getting up there on stage, trying to lead some kind of weird rally. I mean, what are you going to say? And if a white guy gets up there and he says the N-word, he's free to do so, but he may suffer some consequences. Maybe right after his set too, by some other fellow black comedians.
People that think free speech doesn't come with consequences are a little cuckoo, because there's consequences to what you say and what you do.
Yeah. All those people I was just talking about, or a large number of the people we were just talking about, were in Nashville, Tennessee last night at the Ryman Theater, Ryman Auditorium, the old country place, doing a fundraiser for RFQ. Rob Schneider, Jim Brewer, Mike Binder put it together. No surprise there. But I could find a list of people who run it. Dave Landau, who people think is a hardcore Republican guy. He's in the RFQ fundraiser stuff. He's done all of the fundraisers for him. Erica Rhodes wasn't there last night, but she has done several of these shows. I'm not sure if it's because Mike talked her into it or she's really politically charged up about RFQ. But I think 16 people you would know were at this fundraiser for RFQ who you still think is going to be dropping out sometime. I just don't see it.
These comedians that are these older comedians that are jumping on this stuff and the cancel culture. It kind of reminds me, this is an old school reference, of K-Tel Records. That's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of K-Tel Records. There are these companies like Fox News that are oh, look, no one really wants Rob Schneider anymore. He's got this. We'll snatch him up and we'll put him on our Fox News streaming service.
Yeah.
So they just remind me of K-Tel. It's things have fallen off for these artists for a few
you're
years.
Old enough to remember K-Tel Records. K-Tel used to put out cover bands doing the top 40 hits.
Yeah.
The name of the band was The Original Artist. That was the name of the band.
Yeah, and I remember when I was a little kid, my parents bought me one of those albums where it was a cover band doing stuff, and I started listening. I was like, "This is horrible. This is not even the song that I want."
Is this the same mother that bought you Born Flakes instead of Corn Flakes?
Yeah, Prison Flakes. Yep.
So find that list of those people who were at the Ryman last night. I can't find it. Go ahead. You want to move on?
Yeah.
Speaking of...
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Never mind. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
The last story here is Netflix has announced that there is going to be a sequel to Happy Gilmore, and it's in the works. Adam Sandler is returning to his role, and so that is happening right now.
Are they bringing back Bob Barker? Are they bringing back Bob Barker?
Nope. Maybe
I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. Then
Price is wrong, Bobby.
Hey, why can't they CGI him in? Right?
They're doing that to Stan Lee and all the future Marvel films, so why not?
Yeah. Why not? So if you're interested in that, it doesn't really say when it's coming out, but it's going to be directed by Dennis Dugan again, and also features Julie Bowen. Oh, wait, Bob Barker. It says it will feature Bob Barker and another dead person, Carl Weathers.
So maybe
it's a
they
dream
have footage
flashback
that they used in the original one that they're just going to use.
Hopefully,
yeah.
Unless they're gonna like CGI Carl Weathers in from like a Predator.
They're gonna dig them. They're gonna dig them up and turn them into marionettes. They're gonna turn them into marionettes, and
we'll open up a can of worms with this whole. I mean, the state wants to get paid, right? A can of worms and a body full of worms and a brain full of worms.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean the state is making money.
True that. True that.
What do you want to say, Steven? You want to say something?
No.
You're desperate to say something. You want to talk?
I'm not dying
no, you want to talk.
say it, but
No, you want to. You really want to talk.
Yes.
But
we don't want to interrupt you, Steve. If you want to talk, Steven, go. We don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to come in and start making more noise again when someone's talking? Like, hey,
did you have something to say?
Yes.
No, is there something you want to say?
Go ahead. We're listening. You have our attention. You have our complete attention. Go ahead.
You guys are mean.
Yes, we are.
Don't like it.
We're not mean. We're haters. We're haters.
Yeah.
Yeah, you haters.
I'm
gonna go cry on Instagram. Listen, I don't know if this is showbiz related or not, but you remember the Two Bears 5K event?
Yes.
And they advertised that event where you could rub elbows with comedians and with musicians.
It was access. It was selling access.
Yeah.
It was bullshit. Come to find out.
Yes.
Not only was it bullshit, they had a whole second 5K for the celebrities.
Wow.
So
I know somebody who actually called this before it happened. It was me. Oh, hey, it was me.
It was. And I watched it live, and Bert was there for like a little bit of the 5K right at the beginning. But I was rewatching it, and then I heard them mention the celebrity heat run. And that's where all the celebrities and comics ran without the interference of fans trying to talk to them.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's some false advertising if I've ever heard it. I swear to God.
You know, Jelly Roll only talks to me when he needs a favor.
Okay. And
okay,
what favor does he need now?
You'd have to know his material to know what the rest.
I only talk to God when I gotta get off the toilet.
But so in the aftermath of that, Bert went on Twitter and said, "This was the greatest day of my life," and that was really, and that it sums up Bert Kreischer. Me. It was all about me, because in the build up to it, it's all about our fans. It's all about the people who support us. It's all about that. And at the end, and then it comes down to it. And I called it that he was not going to have anything to do with those fucking people that he claimed it was be about. He was going to run away from them and not give them any access at all. Turned out to be true. So the greatest day of his life was the attention he got for doing something, for claiming he was going to do something that he never did. Now I will be called a hater, and the Bert people will say, "Oh, what did you ever do, man? You're a nobody ever." Yeah, but I'm right. I was right about it in advance. So
no, you're not wrong too, and it's actually not surprising, because if you know anything about Bert Kreischer, he is all about himself. I mean, he says that a lot. It's not really surprising. It's always about him, and he says that blatantly all the time.
Right. I'm just wondering if I am still a hater after what I predicted came true. Does that still make me a hater?
Yes.
No, it makes you a prophet.
You can be a hater. Yeah, you can be a hater and a prophet. It makes you just someone who hates profit. That's all.
Well, here I have one piece of final news here, and it goes back to stand-up. Cat Williams his new special that debuted on Netflix, Woke Folk, has been viewed 8.3 million times in 9 days.
Is that a record or something, or that no?
It's I don't think it's so much a record, but it's very good. It's very good for Cat, for him to come out there and do that and get that many viewers. I'm sure a lot of that too was kind of run off from his Shannon Sharp interview from a couple months back that went viral.
Yeah, and I was just going to say the Shannon Sharp thing did about 10 million in one day, and the Joe Rogan interview he did 14 million in one day. So
yeah, I mean
I did a thing on YouTube and it did like 9 views in about 8 million days. So I'm comparable.
Yeah. Did anyone watch Cat's special on Netflix?
No,
I didn't know he had one.
Yeah,
I feel like it's gonna be those interviews, but just more bullshit crammed into it.
It's so hard to watch everything in comedy because everybody is doing specials, whether it's Netflix and now Hulu's getting into the game with that, but the independent stuff that happens on YouTube. And I have a lot of people that I am fans of who are releasing to YouTube. It's crazy because they're not going to make any money on that. 8 million views would get you 8.
No, you can't make money on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Shane Gillis put one of his specials on YouTube, and he made a ton of money on it.
How did he make a ton of money?
His first special, like that 40 minutes he put out when he did in Austin, when he was still like really featuring more than anything. It like that special is pretty good, and he didn't monetize that.
Right. Yeah,
it wasn't monetized.
Wait, no,
yet,
it wasn't. Maybe it was.
No,
maybe
he
it was Sam Talent that put theirs on
purposely
YouTube.
didn't monetize it.
Yeah, he put it up. They didn't monetize it. No, I think it was a bad business decision. I've seen an interview or two where he has mentioned it, and it just seemed like this was a mistake.
I'm just trying to figure out how many, because making a ton of money, how many views you have to get.
You need 1 million. 1 million is the number to get to. That's the number you always hear everyone talking.
I have 4 million views. I know what I get paid from YouTube. It's not a ton of money. So just in this year, I've had almost 700,000 views this year, and that comes out to $274.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Almost $1 million.
According to Google, if you get, you can expect to make up to $6 per 1,000 views. Meaning, if you get 1 million views on a YouTube video, you could be anywhere from $1,200 to $6,000 for every 1 million views you have on the video.
Doesn't come out for me. Let me just say
that's per video, not
the last 129,000 views got me $23.
But you gotta look at it as that's one piece of the pie. So say you release a YouTube special, and say in a week you do 1 million views. Okay, you make it, you get that money from YouTube, but the bigger picture is you take a step back, that can translate into ticket sales and into clubs hiring you.
No, I get it.
Now you have that.
No, there's no question about that. It's good for marketing yourself. It's good for getting better gigs and all that stuff. But making a ton of money from YouTube, I think that's a false. That's a mirage. That's out there.
Yeah, I think if you want to make money from YouTube, like every video you're doing needs probably to crush 1 million.
You have to be Mr. Beast with 300 million subscribers.
Yeah, and there can only be so many Mr. Beasts out there.
Yeah. And part of that is, as I'm discovering lately, is YouTube really is encouraging you to do stuff that not only gets views but keeps people viewing, and that means you have to do good. You have to do good, because I am a lazy guy. I want to I just want to make stuff that is easy and quick to put out and get a bunch of views, but those views don't, if people are only on it for, if it's a 60-second short, let's say, and people are only on it for what is it? 38% of that. So that's 40% of 16. Whatever that is.
When you said that, I was like, I just want to lay back and have them empty into me. That's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. It's me.
So that's how I'm going to wrap up showbiz news.
Showbiz.
Right. Lay back and let them finish in me.
That's Jesus Christ.
No, that's not Jesus Christ. That's not even one of his beatitudes.
Yeah, we need a happy endings kind of.
There it is.
Yeah. Kind of outro. Happy endings news. Once again, you know what? It was the weirdest show we've ever had, and I've had a lot of weird shows. We talked about griffins, not Eddie Griffin, and stand-up comedy. We talked about griffins who should look more like lions than eagles, but actually look more like eagles than lions. And we didn't talk about mental health, but we had somebody come on. We've had a lot of no-shows, but this is the first show, but no speak. No, it's not. We've had people we've had to dismiss because they had no audio, but she couldn't see us, which is like very weird. And she said she uses StreamYard. She's used StreamYard before. I have no control over that stuff. So tonight, if you're in Hanover, New Jersey, or within 500 miles of Hanover, not New Jersey, Pennsylvania, I'm sorry, go out and see the Reverend. Get out of the way, GD. Let's see that poster behind you. Blessings and blasphemy. All right, stay down there. Oh yeah. Satire.
Oh yeah.
Satire at the Church of Satire. It's about not about faith. It's about fun, and it's also about making money. So go out.
Well, maybe not the first show, but the second show, because they do want to do at least 2 shows.
2 shows in one night?
No.
Oh.
I wouldn't mind that, but no, the second show, I think it's going to be June or July. Not June. No, not June.
Church of Satire, just to remind people, to bring your own weed type of place, right?
Yeah, bring your own booze.
Did you ever find out what pre-sales were? Did you finally ask?
I won't look. I won't. I can't.
Did you ever find out what pre-com is?
I just had to keep pushing. Like I'm going to leave when the show is over. I'm going over there and I'm going to stand outside with flyers and I'm going to walk the streets and dressed as the Reverend. I'm going to walk the streets dressed as Reverend because Reverend can't do it himself. He's busy writing sermons for the night.
Well, be careful. That's Hanover.
What does that mean?
Oh, Hanover has a great history with race relations.
That would be really well. It's okay if they lock me up as long as the Reverend is available.
Because there was a guy on Facebook for so long. Now we knew that he was from the town I grew up in, but his moniker was Hanover P. Ness. Hanover Penis. So I don't know if that is relevant at all. Hanover. I've never been to Hanover. I've never heard of it before GD was on this program. No.
And we'll have Top Flight tomorrow morning. Also.
Are you going to support the Reverend tonight, Ron?
No, he's got shit to do. He's got to finish his dryer.
I got shit to do. Like GD said, I actually have to go. I'm going to an open mic, but not to perform. I have to go meet with a couple comics, and I got to do some scouting.
Scouting. All right. Now, GD,
Ron doesn't really think I'm funny either. Ron doesn't find me funny at all.
Well,
so there's no reason for him to spend money to not laugh at me.
$10. What is $10?
He can do that for free on Tuesdays and the occasional Monday.
Right. Now, were you? Do you believe in talking yourself into or out of the crowd? Because every time I'm on my way to a gig, I tell myself purposely, this is going to suck tonight. It's going to be an empty room, and it works for me because generally I'm in a good mood when I see there's 50 to 75 people there. See, it beat my expectations. Are you of that mindset or no? Were you?
I just focus on the material. I just focus on the material. I know that the type of show I'm doing would work better with a larger audience because it's audience participation. So the more audience there's no, it's not crowd work. It's not crowd
participation?
work. It's not crowd work. Crowd work is like, what do you do for a living, sir? In this show, but in this show, the Reverend is actually getting the audience to come up on stage, confess their sins, and if they want forgiveness, they have to win one of his games.
Well, Jackie's crowd work did all that kind of stuff. He brought people up on stage.
He doesn't play games with them, and I don't.
Have you not seen Jackie's stuff where his shows where he does it?
No, but there's a difference between crowd work and crowd participation.
Jugging their tits.
That's participation. That's crowd. That's not crowd work. Crowd work is totally different than crowd participation. Those of us who have perfected the art know the difference. Those of you who have not don't.
No, there is a difference between, hey, what do you do for a living? Are you two married? How long you been together? That kind of stuff. But that's still crowd work when you're bringing the crowd and getting the crowd.
It's not crowd work. It's not crowd work. It's like the difference between driving real fast and NASCAR.
Oh. All right. Get on your high horse. Pretend that you're doing.
It's not a high horse. It's just a fact. All
right. Get on your low horse.
Matter of fact, my horse doesn't even do drugs. Okay. My horse doesn't even do drugs. All right. My horse is ketamine free.
All right. Well, we just wow. What is that? What is that picture you had in the background there?
Yeah. What is your default avatar?
That's me standing up and showing that I'm not wearing any pants. Next to an attractive young lady there. I'm wearing pants now. I'm not going to stand up. I can't stand up right now.
I would
because I have wood. I have a 12-inch erection that I can't stand up right now.
Is it yours or someone else's?
Yeah.
Now
all
that
right.
I feel like you would have stood
a terrible
up to
show. I think you guys owe the audience an apology. I've done my apologizing for the week. I think you guys should apologize to the audience.
You told me to never apologize and never let them in on the secret. You told me that.
I say that?
Yeah.
I don't apologize because that was a great show.
Never apologize for what they say.
Yeah.
I don't recall ever saying any of this "don't apologize" stuff because
you should apologize for not remembering to tell us not to apologize.
I'm sorry about
that.
Now, have we crossed the line?
We've crossed the line.
I don't think so. No.
That sounds like an AI voice, the chick. I mean, now I'm hearing everybody sounds like AI. My wife will say something to me, and I'm thinking she's AI.
Now, has any of y'all heard of a show called GCB? I think it's called Good Christian Bitches.
No.
Oh, okay. No. I when I was getting my hair done, that was the show that was on the television.
No, I have never heard of it. All right, I'm going to kick you guys out of here. You know what I have to do? I got to go take pictures of a house.
No, you got to go. You got to take your trash out to the next neighborhood and hope somebody will take it.
I'm feeling a little skeptical here. Somebody contacted me because I'm very far out on Long Island. Somebody who I used to know in the real estate business said he has no photographers who can go take pictures of this house. Can I do it today? And I reluctantly said yes. But it's like the key is under the gate or something like this. So I'm going to be. I'm just
no. Real estate people don't do that. They have like lock boxes.
You would think. Now, I'm worried that the neighbors are going to see me going. I'm going to get my ass kicked for breaking and entering or something.
You're being punked. You should send Ron.
That is my
concern.
Steven. That I'm being punked. Thank you for.
In the morning, it'll be us. In the morning, it'll be us three, and we'll bring you guys updates on.
Well, Top Flight will be here.
Jail time.
Top Flight will be here, who is a friend of Ron's connection, a comedian. Where's he based out of? He's a Pennsylvania guy?
Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's Pennsylvania, right? It's still Philadelphia is still in Pennsylvania. They haven't moved it. All right.
So they did move it.
But it might be you guys. So enjoy the show tomorrow. If I'm dead or in jail, or so you think maybe I should just change my mind and say no, I can't do it.
I would start the pictures. Matter of fact, forget take pictures and have body cam.
Can I just tell you, it's $250 for 30 minutes of work?
Still,
or a night in jail.
Or a night.
Like I said, I would do it, but and I'm black, and I would do it. So
it's a black neighborhood, black and Indian, like Native American neighborhood.
They might think you're a cop.
Yeah, they might leave you alone.
I'm thinking I'm a cop or a mafia guy. Well, I was planning on wearing my mafia suit just to kind of.
There you go. Dress like the mob, and you'll be left alone.
Yeah.
In other words, your Sunday go to meeting clothes, your church going clothes.
Yes.
My good clothes.
Yeah. So if you don't see me here tomorrow, you know that's where I am. Just text me and say.
Should we take up a collection, or does your wife have enough money on hand to get you out of jail?
My wife might have enough money, but she would not use it for that. It's funny. My wife is a Bitcoin mogul, but she definitely doesn't want to help me in any way. Like, fuck you, you're on your own. So that's where we are. I'm all about protecting her and leaving something for her to take care of herself, and she's all about.
You're going to die anyway.
I can't wait for that fucker die so I can get myself a young boyfriend. That's
okay.
All right. So
and I am 6 months younger.
Also, if I'm not here tomorrow, take care of that.
With your wife?
Yeah. Get on that before somebody else does. That's all.
Okay.
All right.
All right, man. I got you.
Get out. Get out. Get out. I'm getting out too. I got to go take pictures of a house or not. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, Top Flight, not Top Cat, the Top Cat. That will be tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Don't forget to join us then. I'm sorry for this. I will apologize for this show being just awful, just an awful show, but we'll be better tomorrow. And something just before I go, gratitude, man. Be happy for what you got. Be happy for what you got. This is the lesson I'm getting. It's like I've been complaining a lot lately. Today is a shitty day weather-wise here. It's still not springtime or anywhere near summertime. But be grateful. Who's got it better than you? I do. There you go. See you later. Bye.
I me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen